Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Janine Patrice and I make videos on locks and lifestyle, mostly locks these days. But today I wanted to talk all about comb coil starter locks, just the basics, just in case you are thinking about starting your lock journey or at the very beginning. So let's get to it. You guys probably already know, but just in case you're new here, I started my lock journey on September 4th, 2018. So I'm about 2.5 years locked at this point. The time truly has flown. Like, if you've been here since the beginning, like, what a journey. But anyway, I started my locks as comb coils, and so I can insert a few pictures here just to let you know what I was working with at the beginning. But I started off with my full length of my loose natural hair. So I went to go see a loctician about starting my comb coils, and she started them, and it's been my lock journey ever since. So I do want to say that most of the time when you do start your locks, you will probably, most likely, if you go to a professional, most likely they will be started by comb coil starters locks. I haven't really seen in my years of being locked anyone who starts them professionally with 2-strand twists, though it probably is an option, and it's probably good to have both options out there. But I figured that I would start with comb coil starter locks for a number of reasons, but you can already go and see what my reasoning was for starting my hair with comb coil locks, and I'll link that in the cards up here. This video is basically all about comb coils 101 and just sort of getting your feet wet with the information about what they're all about and things that I've experienced with my comb coils from the very beginning. So let's get started. So comb coils are basically a neatly spiraled curl coil that is started with a rat tail comb most of the time, and stylists will usually maybe put product on the hair. The hair is usually damp and wet, and then they take the rat tail comb in it, and then they kind of like make this little twirling motion in order to produce that curl. And so they do that neatly throughout the entire head, and when you get it done professionally, like, your parts are very neat. You can ask for any type of parting that you want, whether it's square, diamond, or just all around parts. So yeah, that's basically what a comb coil is. Like I said, comb coils are almost always started by a loctician. Unless you can do it at home, it's very much possible to, know how to do that thing on your own. And if you feel confident enough and you've watched enough videos about it to feel comfortable to do it on your own, go for it. I don't have that kind of confidence. I also don't really have that much skill. I don't have a lot of skills when it comes to hair stuff in general, as far as really intricate styling and things like that. So I will wholeheartedly put all my trust into a loctician, a hair professional, to do that for me. But yeah, most of the time they're started by locticians, but I'm sure there's plenty of videos on YouTube about how to actually do comb coils yourself and how to do them in general. So that might be something to look up in the future. So I will say that the comb coil starter lock method is best for type 3 and type 4 hair, simply because those coils are easily made. So if you already have curly hair, already have kinky hair, it's easy to do that. Whereas if you are starting your locks and your hair is bone straight, or even just like a loose wave, this method is not going to work for you. There's other methods out there to start your locks. I think there's like a back combing method, there's the instant lock method, which I'm not really that familiar with, but that's something to look into. And there's just other methods that you need to do whenever your hair is a different texture, but I can only speak for my texture, which is type 4. I'm pretty sure I had all the type 4 hair. I would put myself in the type 4 category, which to me it just means I have kinky hair, I have African hair, and type 3 is more that looser curl, and those work really well with starting the comb coils, especially if your hair is loosely curled and doesn't really hold a twist well. You probably want to go the comb coil starter lock method first and try to lock your hair that way, as opposed to trying to do a 2-strand twist, and if 2-strand twists don't really stay in your hair that well, it might not work out. Also, comb coils are great for having a more uniform lock look. So if you want all your locks to be more or less all the same size, comb coils is really good for doing that, because the loctician will know exactly how much to part, how much hair is needed in order to make that curly spiral with the coil, the comb coil method. Another thing about comb coils as a starter lock method is that you need at least 2 to 3 inches of hair in order to do this method. And I think that's probably true for most methods of starting locks. You need a little bit of hair to start, but I do think that you can get away with having shorter hair with the comb coil method, simply because you don't really need to like really get in there and do a 2-strand twist. You just need the little comb tool, and I've seen comb coils on fairly short hair, and it's actually like a hairstyle. Like people will get like comb coils as a hairstyle, you know, comb them out and get like a little curly texture. It's kind of equivalent to like doing that sponge method on TWAs. So it is recommended to have about 2 to 3 inches of hair in order to start the comb coil method. So there are some drawbacks with the comb coil method. Like I said, you only need like 2 or 3 inches of hair in order to start it, and a pro with having shorter hair with that method is that your hair will actually lock faster. But the longer your hair is with the comb coil locks, and also depending on the texture of your hair, if your hair is very coarse and kinky, it'll probably lock up with no problem with the comb coil method. But if your hair is more on the looser side, it might take a little longer, and that's just a fact with any type of style of starting locks. Unless you do instant locks, it will take a while if your hair is looser to lock. However, going along with the drawbacks, having comb coil starter locks on longer hair can also take longer to lock, simply because the locking method starts on the inside. The time goes on, the strands are coiled together and they sort of form on the inside, and that's why locks tend to shrink whenever you start your lock journey. So even if you start off with comb coils and they're down here, once your hair starts locking, they might be more up here. So I've noticed that a lot. I mean, whenever, I would say that my loose natural hair was pretty long before I started my lock journey. If I were to straighten it, it probably would be about the length that my hair is now. But when I got my starter locks, they probably only came up here. So I lost a good amount of length just from doing the comb coil method in general. And then on top of that, your hair shrinks up and is forming the lock. So there was a point when my hair was like really like just up, you know, it was short and it was up, and you can see that in my awkward lock video. I kind of show off what my locks were looking like at that budding stage when it was really starting to lock and trying to form, and it was a little rough. I mean, my hair was like really short, and a lot of people see me now, especially if they haven't seen me in a while. You know, I've been ducking and dodging since this pandemic started, but when they haven't seen me in a while, they're like, oh wow, Janine, like you really have a lot of length now, like your hair is growing. And to me, I'm just like, is it? Because like when you're going throughout your lock journey, you don't really at least I didn't really note how much my hair was actually growing. It just, you know, it was just another week passes, and you know, I'm just dealing with my hair. I do want to say that I do notice a lot more length now when I do my retwist, because you know, naturally when you twist up your new growth, the new growth tends to like shrink up. So if you don't really twist it for real, it's all, you know, shorter. But when you do elongate it and retwist it, like it hangs more, and I'm like, ooh, you know, I'm noticing more length. The next thing I want to note with comb coil starter locks is that when you have a softer hair texture and you're using the comb coil method, sometimes water and shampooing can make it unravel easily. I experienced a lot of unraveling towards the beginning of my lock journey. I made a whole video about it because I was like, at the beginning, I was truly documenting everything. I was like, oh my gosh, my hair is unraveling. What am I doing? And it feels like, oh my gosh, this is never gonna happen. It's never gonna lock up. I don't know what's going on. And that phase honestly didn't last that long, in my opinion. But what I did towards the beginning of my comb coils is like, I did wanna like lightly mist it just to kind of get that going as far as like the locking process. Cause a lot of people will say like, don't wash your hair the first month with comb coils, which is so false. What you need to do is get a stocking cap and sort of rub in the shampoo through the stocking cap and allow the shampoo to penetrate through the mesh stocking cap to get to your scalp. But also, whenever you're doing that motion and the stocking cap is on, you're only like zhuzhing it and like doing this instead of like directly putting it on there and doing that. So it kind of like holds it together while still getting it clean. And then the water also, as much as it can unravel, especially if you're using like, I don't know, certain shampoo types, which is why the stocking cap is so important with shampooing, but it can make it really slick and be like, oh, well, we're just gonna unravel because she's shampooing her hair right now. So that stocking cap really keeps it together. And then I guess that's the key component, because water can help with locking a lot. But if you are handling your hair wrong at the beginning, it can also unlock your hair or unravel. It's a delicate balance here. Another good thing to point out about comb coil starter locks is that they start to look like locks a lot sooner than 2 strands. So I know people who have been locked maybe like 3+ years, and sometimes a majority of their hair will look locked, but then sometimes if you like look closely enough, you can see the 2-strand twist pattern. Whereas with comb coil starter locks, as soon as your locking process actually starts, they look like locks. And so they're more uniform, like I was saying. They also just have that more uniform look on the outside. So with 2-strand twists, it can be locked on the inside but still have that 2-strand pattern, which some people might not mind. But if you kind of want the look of like mature locks faster, then comb coils is definitely the way to go. Yeah, that is all that I have on my little comb coil 101. I hope this was helpful for you. I can only really speak on comb coils because that's the only thing that I've had experience with. But there's so many methods in starting your locks, and none of them are wrong. You have to just choose what's right for you at the end of the day. And I feel like comb coils was perfect for me at that stage in my life. Now, if I were to like restart my loc journey again, I'm not even sure if I would choose comb coils again for a variety of reasons. But I don't plan on doing that anytime soon. I'm pretty much happy with my hair with the way it is now. Let me know if you have any more questions about comb coil starter locks down below, and I will be sure to answer them. Until then, make sure you go back and watch my other videos, subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I will see you guys in the next upload. Bye.